The journey that we kind of went on, really, I suppose, had to start with the technology, really what was available.
We didn't really want to do a film like we did last year. We've done that in the previous years as well, and it's sort of quite static. We wanted something a bit more immersive.
We decided to make a 360-degree stereoscopic fashion show theatrical production in the new theatre.
Previous kind of years, we've made films that really do focus solely on the clothes. This was a very different approach. It was really to bring people to see us, to see the film, and then look into the sort of fashion that was kind of beyond that.
So for my final collection, and obviously for the 360 video, I designed 2 outfits. They're sports luxe outfits, and they were inspired by textiles from India.
My collection is kind of more of a celebration of craft and colour and combining modern and traditional processes, and both my outfits were used in the film.
So it's quite deep. It's talking about the mask we hide behind and how eventually they start to crack and reveal part of us that we never intended anyone to see.
So I actually designed a lingerie collection, so I had 2 bodysuits, a 3-piece set, and then robes to go with them. I think having that platform, having that kind of immersive experience is something that's going to be really, really great.
The amount of people involved in this project has been huge, and it's a huge joint effort between absolutely everyone.
The new Theatre Royal team were fantastic. I mean, they've been so supportive throughout the whole project.
I was introduced very briefly to Tom, who was in for a meeting, and it was, can you just give us some advice on some lighting? And that was a week ago, and it's turned into the burlesque sort of cabaret that you're seeing on stage today. As a venue, from first impressions, it's beautiful. Obviously it's a Victorian building, it has the history of being a Matcham theatre, but it also, now that we have the new build at the back and we actually have a modern theatre on the back of a Victorian facade, it gives us so much scope to do quite a number of things.
The fact that then we wanted to turn it into a performance meant that we needed performers, which obviously then took us into collaborating with dancers.
We met Tom, and he was after choreographers for this project, so we came in.
They really came up with the ideas really for the on-stage performance, how it kind of would work, within the sort of timeline of the film itself. We had production designer Gabriella Simon, so she kind of kept it all sort of ticking over really well.
So I worked closely with the choreographers as well as the fashion designer students to bring the two together. So I tried to create a story with the garments. How are we going to introduce them? In what order? And then once I had that, that was something to play with the choreographers.
It's a fashion show, but it's a dance performance. So yesterday was really important to kind of get the right outfits together on stage and how they accompany each other, and to get that fluid and what the designer wants as well as what the dancer needs.
Alex, did a lot of research into the technology, the best type of technology that was available.
It had to be a high enough resolution so people the audience could actually see the fashion. So we looked at kind of consumer range cameras, and they just weren't going to be up to the job. And that was when we decided to use the Nokia Ozo camera.
So this is the Nokia Ozo. It records 8 separate video streams, and effectively that collects 360 degrees of footage, and at the front 180 degrees the lenses work together to also be able to produce a stereoscopic image as well. And of course it also does the same with the 8 microphones, and it can create that ambiosonic kind of 360 sound as well.
We had full sets of teams from the hair and makeup. Andrew Smith hair and Georgina Chambers did the makeup. Really, we wanted to try and capture, I suppose, that sort of spirit of Moulin Rouge, Cabaret Voltaire, that kind of era.
So what we've concentrated on today is kind of really sleek, polished, alongside the kind of really voluptuous, messy texture. So we've tried to create a combination between the two.
So I've been asked to come today to provide makeup services. So today that's involved doing kind of a 1920s style makeup for the fashion students to kind of go with their outfits and funky hairdos.
We've had to be very conscious of the fact that they're going to be throwing themselves around, being upside down. We've kind of tried to make it so that the head doesn't come forward.
So we've done some quite elaborate themes with bright colours, then we've done some more dark eyes with dark lips. So it's been brilliant, especially working with kind of men and women today, just kind of getting everyone looking their best.
I had a very clear idea about how the film should run. It was really informed by the music, to be honest. I mean, the film that we've produced is called Tritsch Tratsch. It's German for chit chat, and it's taken from the Johann Strauss polka. As soon as I kind of heard the music, I could feel it in the space, and I can imagine what it would be like to be that viewer. The idea is you put the headset on, and you're immediately sort of faced with the University of Portsmouth Presents, who are thinking, what's going on here? Then suddenly this sort of silk drops from the sky, if you like, and then you're presented then with the Tritsch Tratsch logo. Then the music starts.
It's kind of like a vomit of performance, but in a great way, like it's so in your face, which is just really exciting.
The journey that you go through the film, it really does break it down into 3 main scenes, if you want, which allow for changes within the kind of the garments and the performers.
Our main choreography, the performers are projecting out as if it's a full audience there, and they're just, this one person is a part of the audience, but then it's inserted with these moments where suddenly all the eyes are on you, and that's what's going to make the viewer feel really uncomfortable. But all the best pieces make you feel something.
That was part of the design process, these kind of flipping in between different perspectives that we use for the film. The shots of the audience just staring at the camera. That was kind of put in there to sort of unnerve the viewer and kind of have that impact. No one's collapsed from fear yet.
After the show, there is a big celebration of this cooperation, collaboration of the actors and the designers.
You're kind of surrounded by the applause and the screaming of the crowd. But at that point, you don't actually know where you are. And it's only at that point then when you're faced by the kind of what it would be the encore of the performers who are walking towards the camera, yourself, that you're kind of aware and they're telling you to turn around. And only at that point then do you actually turn around, and then you sort of see, oh my goodness, I'm on stage, in the new Theatre Royal.
And at that point, it is truly 360. We have the audience going wild, and then behind the audience is the really quite unnerving close-up of all the performers right over your shoulder.
The biggest challenge, I think, really, in terms of that end scene was the fact that we had 20 big streamer cannons that were going to be set off. There was literally bells and whistles galore right at the end. We had to practice it a couple of times, and then we did it for real.
We made all the selects on the day with the choreographers and the other people, so we knew which shots we would need to do the post-production on. So the raw footage, there's 2 ways of processing it. You can output the 8 cameras, which you can then use proprietary software to stitch in, like Nuke's Cara tools or other stitching software. Or the other way you can do it is use the Nokia Ozo software to stitch all 8 of those cameras together, which then produces 4K by 2K left and right images. And I chose to go that route because I did comparisons between the software, just ease of use and speed. The stitch from the Nokia software was really stable, really good quality. Then there's post-production, which is kind of roto paint work, getting the tape, painting the tape out of the floor, compositing different backgrounds, and we're using Nuke for that with their Cara VR tools, which is amazingly powerful. Allows me to composite in real time and preview through a Vive headset whilst I'm compositing. And then the editing side's being done in Adobe Premiere Pro. That's been handed off to another colleague, Stephen Pearce, who's going to be doing spatial audio design for it.
Yeah, so traditionally sound in film is presented in either 2 channels in front of you or in surround. Now the problem is with a VR situation, you can turn your head. When you turn your head, that stereo image should move appropriately. So in the film, essentially we've got a virtual representation of this space. So we've got all of the sound sources presented around this virtual theatre. As you turn your head, it's as if the orchestra is coming out of different hotspots in that space. As this is a traditional theatre performance, there's a lot going on at the front. However, there are points in the film where there's material evolving in the crowd behind. So at those points, traditionally people will be looking at the front of the stage, but there are very small, subtle audio clues that are often quite glitchy and a bit aggressive that might guide them to take a peek behind and see what's happening, which might not be what they expect.
The students were brilliant, you know, from the outset. You know, there's so much work that goes into those garments that they are then prepared to kind of let some crazy dancers, you know, put them on and start leaping about in them. I think it's testament to them. I think, you know, their kind of fearless kind of attitude, really.
So as opposed to just being walked up and down on a catwalk, it really tested out the durability and the potential movement of the garment. So having a dancer wear it and doing like backflips and carrying people and
it's nice to see them, instead of just walking down a ramp, actually dancing in it and, you know, showing all angles of the outfit instead of just back and front.
It was a day in which to celebrate all of their hard work as well. You know, we haven't got an in-house sort of style of what we, you know, sort of direct our students to be like. You know, they're all very individual, and the film is very individual as well in terms of the characters that came from the performance, which I think worked perfectly.
I think they worked really well with the performer. It was the kind of almost a showstoppery thing, and the embroidery on them really shone under the kind of the lights and the performance, and it worked really, really well at showcasing my designs.
You know, when I joined the university, I've always wanted to show our graduates at Graduate Fashion Week, and it has taken time to progress to get to that level.
We will be showcasing it on the stand in our HTC Vive headsets.
When you put a headset on someone for the very first time and they've never watched a decent quality 360 film, it absolutely blows them away. And the response we've had has been exceptional. And that is the testament to the work we've put in, is that response you get from your audience when they've watched the film, and they are really impressed. They take their heads off with a big smile on their face.
I am quite looking forward to it. It's a 360 film. I haven't even used virtual reality goggles yet, so.
No one's ever done this before at Graduate Fashion Week, so it'll be really good for Portsmouth University to showcase it for the first time.
It'll be a really good, you know, start of their careers as well. You know, it's not the end of what they've done at university, but it's the beginning of their futures as well.
It got us and it got me to work with people that I don't work with, and I think you always grow from that, really. There were so many people that contributed to the film. You don't want to let people down, you know, at the same time. So very sort of relieved. I'm also quite delighted.